warmly welcome Tuukka Toivonen, Chief Strategy Officer of Helen. Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Laura. So nice to be here.
Yeah. Tuukka, could you tell us about your current role at Helen and what are you the most passionate about right now?
Okay, thank you, Laura. And definitely and hope you all can hear us online. So thank you so much. So my current role is the Chief Strategy Officer at Helen, which more or less involves leading our strategic initiatives at the group level and steering our company long-term direction, which we are going to talk a bit more about later in this webinar. And then what I'm super passionate about in my current role is I mean, we are making such a massive transition and such an interesting transition towards a sustainable energy future, so said. So I find it super interesting and rewarding to be part of this process.
Something that sparks you.
Absolutely. So, and then collaborating with a highly talented team and people and teams at Helen, that is so rewarding each and every day.
I'm happy that we get to learn more about Helen strategy today and how you have been applying the OKR model. Then with Tuukka, besides with Tuukka, we also have Kirsikka here today, my long-term colleague, our principal designer, Doctor of Arts, our lead transformation lead. Could you tell us about your current role and what sparks you at the moment?
Yeah, well, I'm mainly focusing on two areas. So the one is supporting organizations and companies in the transformation processes and helping them to develop their internal capabilities and processes. And then the second area is helping my clients to develop and deliver excellent customer experiences. And I've always been passionate about improving people's everyday life, and that's still something that I'm super keen on trying to do in my work from day.
And you do that really well.
Yeah, thanks.
I could ask you both, and also people joining online, that what was the first time you heard the letter combination OKR?
Well, that's a good question. I think it was something like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
In my previous jobs in the telecom industry.
Yeah.
So became aware of this very powerful and nice tool to make strategic transitions happen.
Yeah.
But when was that you heard it first?
Perhaps the same time as Kirsikka. It was around 2019, 18, something like that, when we started applying the OKR model here at Hellon.
Exactly.
So
nice.
that was something that we needed to learn at that point. But hey, let's continue. I know you're all eager to hear about the topic, OKRs that spark employee engagement, but I really want to take this moment to shortly introduce our company. Many of you might know Hellon already, but if you do not yet know, so we are an innovation and technology consultancy operating here in Helsinki, London, and Northern Finland, Oulu. We have currently 100 employees across these studios and very proud of the work that we do, and we are proud of the fact that we have been also quite awarded in the work that we do. And I always think that what actually describes companies the best are their values. So that's why I really shortly want to introduce the values of Hellon. And we have four core values in our company. They are be ambitionary, which is a word that we had made. It's a combination of ambitious and visionary, and we feel that that actually describes us. Change hearts and mind numbers. It's often something that when you deal with customer experiences, employee experiences, and innovation, it's often something soft, but we always back those up with hard data and numbers. Dare to care is something that is visible in our culture. Even when the times are turbulent, it's really important that you have this dare to care culture, especially in the leadership. And then we believe in sparking joy. That is something that we want to enhance, and not just with our colleagues, but also with our clients and partners. But this about Hellon. Now let's go to the day's topic, OKRs. And not just any OKRs, but OKRs that spark employee engagement. Yes. And we could start with Kirsikka introducing the kind of the basics of OKRs. And so many of you perhaps know already the OKR approach, but let's have a short recap that what are we talking about when we're talking about OKRs?
Yes, happy to do that. So the OKR stands for objectives and key results. And the objective is an inspiring and qualitative description of the desired change. So what it is that the organization is aiming to achieve, for example, in the next 3 years. And then the key result, that's the measurable outcome, typically a number that you can follow the progress, and also that you can see that how well you are achieving the objectives that you have set for yourself. And model is a tool for strategy execution, and it helps to integrate it into the daily work of teams. And with that OKR model, an organization's strategic priorities can be broken down into practical actions at both the organizational and team level. So there are typically the company or organization level OKRs, and then cascading those down to the team levels, depending on the size of the company and the complexity of the company, that how many layers you have there. We probably hear something about that from Helen later. But then the question that I quite often get is that is it then replacing the KPIs, for example? And that's not the case, but where to deploy OKRs is that if you think that most of the companies nowadays balance between performing and transforming, so you need to make sure that your like a basic business is performing well, but then at the same time you should be able to transform and renew. And the OKRs are really good for this transforming, so driving the change. And that's why these key results should be something more agile and something that changes faster than KPIs, so that you actually constantly follow.
So basically the objective is the goal, what I want to achieve through my change, and then the key results are the path towards that objective.
Exactly.
And it guides me that am I going to the right direction, and do the numbers show that I am actually gaining this objective.
Some people have even used sometimes a word kind of it's a navigator. So you have an objective where you want to go, and then you have a navigator giving you instructions, and showing that are you on the right path.
Exactly.
So
it's a very good metaphor, and also something that we all need at the current world. We all need help in navigating and transforming.
But then also good to remember the objective should be something inspiring and motivating for people, so something that they really want to celebrate in when you achieve that.
That they have an inner motivation to actually achieve those.
Exactly.
If we continue, so why and when should organizations be interested in OKRs?
Well, of course, in the big picture, so OKRs accelerate the strategy execution and empowers employees to drive successful change when you do it well, of course. But in practical level, I think that one of the biggest reasons to really apply them is that in this constantly changing world, it gives you an agile and systematic structure and framework to revise your strategy more often. Because it's not enough anymore that you just look at once a year, for example, but you need to be able to revise if your direction is correct and how you are actually progressing. And there are roughly these kind of 4 steps. So it starts from the setting the objectives and key results for the next 3 to 4 months, really thinking what matters us most now. And then you of course make plan that how you get those in that given time, and then you perform based on that plan. But while you are performing, you are all the time having weekly or bi-weekly check-ins where you revise that where you are going, how you are progressing, and really stop and focus on any problems that teams may have, any obstacles there are to be solved, and then together with your team solving those, and then regularly having those. And then at least once in this cycle, you should have this kind of more formal evaluation session that you really look back at what you can learn from process-wise and from the content-wise, and then have these learnings and refocus if needed when you start setting the next cycle of the objectives and key results. And this cycle of continuous learning and improvement, you repeat 3 or 4 times a year.
Was this continuous learning ideology something that got you personally excited about OKRs, or what was that?
Yeah, I was
Was it
thinking
for
while
you?
you were speaking that what kind of got me into the OKR in the first place, but probably I became interested about OKRs because they offer kind of clear and structured way to make such an ambitious transition like you described happen, and they make it also. I mean, in an environment and ours, we have several businesses within Helen Group, and the environment around us is pretty complex as well. So it is super crucial that our people in the organization, they understand, I mean, the strategic direction and what is my personal contribution and what is my role in achieving those being it at group level or business unit level objectives and key results. So that is super important. And what also resonated on me is that it's not only about management, not at all, but it's about empowering, I mean, individuals and teams to own, because they are the ones who create the objectives, own those and own their contribution into it. And it also fosters super transparency and transparent way of working and support the decision making low in the organization. Although we have a lot to do in there still, but that's actually the goal. So I kind of saw it as a very good tool to make such a huge transition happen, and at the same time our strategy and then make it real in each and everyone's life. So
complex transition with a lot of details, and I really like when you said that it helps employees to understand what is their role in it, because that is something that creates meaningfulness. It improves the employee experience, that you as an individual know what is your role in a complex exactly. But hey, let's look at the Helen situation a bit and learn from your organization, because I actually know that you have been doing this for quite some time and you have excellent practices. But could you tell us a bit about Helen and the strategy that you're currently leading?
Yeah, for those of you that are online and haven't heard about Helen before, so we are one of the largest energy utilities in Finland. Numbers you can actually see on the screen, but having more than 600,000 customers, a little bit more than 700, almost 800 employees on our payroll. Though we operate solely in Finland, and then the businesses you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. So that is more or less Helen. So we are kind of a traditional energy utility. So selling electricity, selling heat, and then also meaning district heating. And then we have a lot of renewable power generation. And nowadays we don't burn coal anymore. We stopped burning coal in the beginning of April.
So it's a few weeks
ago, actually. And then we are in the midst of a huge energy generation transition. So eventually we'll stop burning anything.
So you are really leading this significant sustainable transition towards sustainable future.
And on the screen you can now see our strategy. So it's built on 3 pillars. So the clean transition, which I kind of explained. So we will eventually stop burning anything. I mean, it's going to be a combustion-free energy future. And then we have the flexibility. Well, we understand that the energy generation is based on renewables. So there's a lot of fluctuation in the system. So we need a lot of flexibility on the consumption side as well. So we need to align the production and consumption in a small scale, but also in a big picture. And that is one of our greatest challenges. can imagine how much heat is needed in Helsinki to keep, keep the families warm during winter times. And then under those circumstances, we need a lot of flexibility in the system. And eventually, we need to be profitable. Well, we have invested a lot of money into the green transition, so we need to be profitable at all times to bring us towards the non-burning future. So that is our strategy.
And so basically, to summarize, your business is something that has been previously stable and predictable. And now, because you're going towards this more sustainable energy sources, it becomes much more volatile. And I know we have been discussing with you that actually you see that this OKR model is something that brings actually clarity to the world that is more volatile. And we know that it's not just energy sector, it's all type of industries that are currently facing this type of new kind of turbulence. Could you tell us, like, how do you see this OKR model actually bringing this clarity to the complex business environments?
I mean, as explained, that Helen is transforming from a very, very traditional energy utility into a front runner in a sustainable future. I mean, no burning based on natural forces, basically, for energy generation. And then our strategy is focused on renewable energy adoption in the whole system. I mean, decarbonizing everything, providing very, very innovative solutions to make this happen. So to achieve these goals, we need to align the organization and emphasize also innovation and support a lot of innovation, digital transformation and collaboration across all the industries and with our customers, but also within the company. So the OKRs have been kind of a tool to align organizations within Helen and helping us execute the strategy in the best possible way and bring, like you said, you have a confusion around and confusion within the company what we need to do. So at least once in each and every 4 months, we update those each and every 4 months. So it's tactile. So we know what we need to do. And at the group level, we have OKRs that we have set for a year. But on a business unit level, those get revised once in a while.
And I think actually what is super important probably there is that you all the time keep in mind these OKRs that are for a year while you are still reflecting the ones that you have more frequently.
Correct.
Correct.
Something that I would also like to kind of highlight from Helen's perspective is that when we're talking about employee engagement and employee motivation, so it's very critical that your strategy is truly something where an individual can find commitment and motivation, because what you are doing is such an important transition towards a more sustainable future. So it's quite easy as an employee to kind of understand that I want to be part of that. And then the OKR model kind of shows you how am I part of that big and complex change.
And you can apply it for the whole organization or parts of it, but in your case, I think it's the most of it are like important to get on board because the transition is so huge.
Correct.
But hey, let's continue. Kirsikka, I have been working with you for a long time, and I know that you are an expert in human-centric change, facilitation, engagement. You're also currently a professional OKR coach as well. And you always kind of remind me and our clients that if you want your employees to be part of the change, they need to feel that they are actually driving the change and not being the objective in change. What is your learnings and your take on that? How does OKR model actually support us in this type of change?
Very, very good question. Let me try to explain it a little bit. So like Tuukka mentioned that one of the key thing is there the alignment, so everyone knows where we are going, what's our vision and the direction where we aim for, and then they also know that okay, what are these key results that we are trying to achieve on the way, like you taking those steps there.
Navigating.
Exactly. So everyone knows also that where we are at the moment, it's transparent process, and that helps when you have the clarity where we are going and where we are, of course, helps you to collaborate over the silos because everyone shares the same view. And also there's this similar cycle that everyone, the ways of working that everyone is cross organization following. So it helps to collaborate. And when you have the clarity and you have this better collaboration, you can be more autonomous as a team or expert, more confident in making decisions based on the data. And you have the data because you know where you are. And through that, you actually create this motivated, transparent, productive, and data-guided organization where these employees are the drivers of the change instead of being the target of the change. If you are able to really make these things to happen there.
Sure.
Based on that, Kirsikka, your experience, what do you think that changes when OKRs are applied? What changes in the company?
Yeah, what is actually a little bit paradoxical and quite interesting there is that where you use OKRs to drive the change, they itself, it's a change. So it actually it changes the ways of working when you start following OKRs. So it's influencing your priorities, resources, work rhythm across the organization. It's also shifts the perspective so that instead of focusing on the task list that we quite typically, and we are quite good at. So you start focusing on, discussing on what matters for us now and in the future, where we are going, how do we understand, how we get there. And then as you already mentioned, that when people understand that what's the big picture, what's their role in that, so that typically is of course really meaningful and that increases the commitment. So these are these kind of positive changes or improvements that you can get there.
I would also assume that when people know their role in it, they tend to make better decisions also, like on daily work. They understand the big picture and their role, and then the decision making improves.
But if I may comment on cultural change that you reflected on a bit, so I mean, in a consultancy talk, everything goes like vanilla and smooth, but in real life it's not like that.
Yeah, we now talk about the challenges.
It's not like that. But we have, I mean, we really started from the top. I mean, training people and our management team in understanding what is the OKR model, how it's supposed to be used, and what are the flaws, and all kind of things. And then we started the education of the organization at the same time in each and every level. And I mean, our teams have done super job over there in giving all the possible tools and skills and competencies to make this the best we can. And honestly, there have been a lot of hiccups and learnings on the way we have been using this. So so it's a continuous learning process. To be honest.
And actually, while we have been discussing about the benefits here, so we would like to also hear a little bit of what kind of benefits you are looking for if you are utilizing the OKRs in your organization, or if you're looking for the starting to use it, for example. So this short poll about that.
We can also we could discuss, Tuukka, since you have extensive experience in utilizing OKRs, and you just mentioned that it's not always been easy. You have put quite a lot of effort in actually training people about this, making this transparent understanding that what is an OKR model and what do we actually try to achieve with this model. Could you share with us what have been like some of the key benefits that you have seen in practice when utilizing this model?
Yeah. I kind of agree what you said already, but anyways, it gives. I mean, we have a vision, we have a strategy that we shared, and some targets we need to achieve. So it gives clarity, it empowers teams, and then it kind of enhances collaboration between the organization and different teams. If I would need to put into three concrete points. So at Helen, we practically experienced these benefits through our improved cross-team and cross-business units collaboration. I mean, more clear communication. We have put a lot of emphasis on the communication. Communication, and once again, communication. We have created and built a lot of tools, I mean, IT tools to share a common understanding of the OKRs. First of all, these are visible to each and everyone in the organization. And not only that, but also including our strategy and our strategic programs and projects, which are fully visible 100% to each and everyone at Helen. So that has been one of my key learnings from my previous tryouts with OKRs. That make it fully transparent, visible, and share and communicate and train train people how to use it. So some of very, very key learnings.
I really like when you say that communicate, because that is often what is always in, not just in OKR model, but in every transformation and change is the one thing that is neglected.
And there are
it's starting to pay off.
Yes.
I mean, in our organization, we did a short internal survey that right now, after 1 year and 4 months now, 80% of employees, they understand our strategy. At least they say they understand our strategy. And what is their role in its execution. And that is at least partly directly attributable to OKRs. So,
if we look at these results from the poll, that what kind of benefits the audience there have been looking for or are looking for, so it's interesting. So there is almost half of you are looking, especially translating the strategy into practical action. And I think that's really exactly, that's a good one. And then there is quite many also looking this better team alignment around the common goals, super important. And then this improved focus throughout the organization. And then also this enhanced measurement and accountability. I think that's also something that quite often, based on my experience, is a discussion of the accountability, and it comes also the more autonomous teams and all that. But actually that comes also these challenges that I've faced in my work, that I think the biggest is culture. So if you don't have the culture that really enable the trust, the courage, and try for growth, it's much harder to be this kind of transparent and explore and be ambitious and try to learn new things. So I think that that's one of these things, that you really understand what's your current situation and the culture, and put also efforts on that. And maybe sometimes even recognize that you first need to take the one step there, for example, building the transparency first, and then after that maybe trying to go further in the next steps, try for growth, for example, can be the more difficult mindset.
Would you agree with me if I say that those company cultures that are very kind of top-down led and maybe has a culture of fearing mistakes, those perhaps are not the best ones to adapt OKR model, because this is so contradictory.
I agree with you. You really need to learn at all times.
And
create a culture that supports continuous learning.
Exactly.
And you are not being punished about mistakes. Okay.
Maybe the second challenge there quite often is that whereas OKR's model is not rocket science, so it's quite simple, but actually the successful execution is not that easy, because it touches so many things, and the many challenges can be surfaced when you start implementing, for example, the leadership practices or capabilities, and this that you are able to focus on things. So inevitably you will have really hard discussions when you need to focus that this is what we actually want to do, and this is something that we don't want to do, and that's also where you need trust and courage.
And that is super important thing that you raised. I mean, one of the best learnings and tools in the OKR model is that it kind of forces you to discuss what is important at the group level. We had very good discussions in Helen management team. And but not only that, but also in the business units and so on and so forth. Because it forces, let's say, encourages you to decide that during this year, this is, or these 3 or these 4 things are the priorities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
the
we
rest
have to do.
is
Yeah.
less
And
important.
is it so that it forces you to kind of having these discussions and also to make these decisions, for example, regarding the key results, but then again, in a way, gives you the freedom of also to change and navigate. Like if the key results are showing that, okay, these were not kind of like advancing our objective. So in a way, it should narrow the threshold of making these decisions
That's true.
at its best.
Yeah, in our annual planning cycle, you have kind of agreed that each and every 4 months, you have a possibility to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but meanwhile, you should like be able to focus,
Correct.
and then you have this moment of like reflection, evaluating and refocusing if
Yes.
needed.
Yeah, kind of gives you some calmness
Exactly.
in the execution.
Exactly.
And focus.
Exactly. I think that's one of the like best benefits from the employee's point of view. Quite often, if you can really give that to people.
So we have come to a conclusion that it's a lot about culture, it's a lot about the people, and if we want people to utilize this type of a model in the best possible way and actually thrive the strategy, so we need to spark this employee engagement. Now, if you could, Kirsikka, show in a very practical way, this was also a question and they asked from the audience that what are these practical ways to actually spark employee engagement and what needs to be done?
Yes, so this is the part that I love most, of course. So based on the like a quite extensive experience we at Hellon have working with the different types of organizations and companies in different countries and applying OKR models as well. So the key thing is to really build a human-sized journey for change. And what do we mean by that? There are like 3 main components. The first, listen and understand. Then the second, the innovate and experience. And then concretize and visualize. And of course, all of these you need to do together with the employees. And let me explain this a little bit more. So listen and understand. This is actually the part I love most, to be able to have a deep dive into the organization, to really see what's the context, understand the current situation, leadership models, ways of working, culture, all these things, what's the situation there, and then defining the key elements of tailored OKR model based on that, and thinking also the deployment approach, that whether it should be something big boom for the whole organization at once, or maybe it's more like the piloting with the small parts of the organization first, for example, and all in between there are different options. So, but understanding, deep diving into the organization, that's the like a key thing. And then also like while you are doing this, listening, interviewing, observing, taking part of the everyday life there, but that's a bit external, so you have a bit different lenses what you look. So identifying these kind of curious key stakeholders, so people who really want to grow and are interested to like develop in this area as well, and then activate those as a change agents or like OKR ambassadors who will really be important part of the deployment process.
And this is actually what you also did in the leadership. But also the leadership level. You discussed and you listened and you took into consideration the different aspects. And based on that, you actually decided that how you will start applying that.
But I mean, the ambassador model is super important. We have emphasized that a lot. And put a lot of energy and money into the training.
Yeah, that's also good that you need to, of course, then like provide the continuous support and motivation for them to be able to be successful in that role as well.
Sure.
Then the second component is innovate and experience. So really co-dreaming and co-creating together with the employees that what does it could look like, where we could go with this kind of OKR model, what would be perfect for us, how we get these benefits that especially we are looking for, again understanding and listening there at the same time the current situations and the capabilities and the maturity level and all these kind of things, and using diverse engagement methods for this. So, because of course some people can be maybe involved shorter time or in a bit different phases of the process. So, for example, I like the inspiration breakfast to like a spark shared excitement or gamification to try team alignment, dialogue and sharing experiences. And then of course nowadays also it's good to explore the AI powered tools and other technological solutions to support the innovative ways of learning and integrating it into the as smoothly as possible into the like normal ways of working. And one of actually my personal favorite, if I may say, is the design sprint. So apply a couple, 2-3 days, really intensive days to like invite a lot of different people from different roles, different parts of organization to do this co-dreaming and co-creation together with you. And during this short time, you can learn so much and you can like progress so much in this how you plan and the deployment process and all that.
And choose the right OKRs.
Exactly.
And identify the ones that are actually most suitable for your team and for your organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the like third one is concretize and visualize. So OKR is an abstract word, and so trying to make it something tangible, bring it to life through an inspiring and engaging playbook or other visualizations or pilots or something that people can really understand what it is, how does it look and feel like when it's in action. And these kind of like resources not only foster the shared understanding, but they also spark the excitement and build engagement when you make those nice and tempting and clear and like easy to understand. So that's like super important as well from based on my experience. And then maybe something that we quite often forget, again, this individual learning journey. So we are all different and we like to move in different pace. So we need different tools, different ways, and like really thinking and designing and like visualizing also those what kind of learning journeys there are provided for you. So that's also the one tip for everyone to really think about.
I would assume that many online might think that this all takes a lot of time and resources and it's expensive, but then again, how expensive is it when your strategy fails, like or your transformation fails? And this is still the statistics that many of the transformation actually fails because we're not putting enough effort on these type of issues that might seem trivial but are actually in the core of driving the change, applying this type of model. And I happen to know that at Helen you have been very successful in both advancing your strategy, applying OKR model, and then keeping up also the momentum, the excitement among your employees. Before we go to the audience questions, it would be lovely to hear kind of like your practical learnings and also the structures that you have in place for keeping the momentum up.
Yeah, one comment on your comment. So if I would emphasize one thing as a key takeaway from this webinar, is that everyone can create a strategy with the help of super nice consultants, but only few can execute the best. And that has been one of the guiding principles at Helen. So we want to execute it the best possible way. And that's one of the key reasons why we have implemented the use of OKR tool. It's a tool.
So although it takes a lot of resources and time for all these discussions and all these like empowerment and trainings, you feel that it makes sense because it pays off later.
But I mean, in the big picture, companies spend millions of euros into creating nice strategies. But how much effort and money and energy you put into executing it. This is one of the key learnings, but there are also other. I mean, of course, it's about visible leadership commitment as well,
Yeah, that's true.
and very, very clear continuous communication
Yeah.
about our objectives and what our targets in a clear, in our case, Finnish language. So
Yeah.
don't use mumble bumble,
Yeah.
use clear language
Yes.
that each and everybody, even your grandmother, would understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
And then-
rule.
Yeah, and then embedding this tool, I mean, deeply and clearly into the organization and the ways of working and into the processes. So, and to keep in mind that this is not a one-off thing, but it's a continuous process and that evolves and develops while we go.
Yeah.
So, like already discussed, we have regular checkups. It's an every month, it's an every 4 months, and annually, and at all organizational levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that keeps the wheel rolling,
Yeah.
which is super, super important.
Yeah.
So, some of the learnings.
Yeah. And the statistics show that at the moment, more than 80% of your employees, they say that they understand the strategy and their role in driving it forward. Yeah.
Correct. And that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. It is. It
Yeah,
is.
to be honest.
It is. Yeah. We could now look at the audience questions. So first of all, is communication enough, or how one could ensure that people internalize and commit to OKRs?
I mean, that's what you already
Yeah.
and you also elaborated on, that it's that you really need to build it as an everyday tool.
Yeah.
And eventually we start to understand that this helps us in achieving our common goals.
Yeah. These
And then-
methods, Kirsikka also explained, this breakfast, participatory design sprints, visualizing, concretizing. These are the ways to build this individual level commitment.
And this is supposed to help you in executing your business targets or whatever it is. So.
Also a good question, can you give some examples on which levels you can utilize or OKRs? Is it organizational level, leadership level, or project level?
We have done this at the Helen group level, at the business unit level, and then I know this has been used in program level, and even in individual projects in our organization. So more or less at every level of organization.
And Kirsikka, you were earlier talking about that there is, in every company, there is this level of performing the basic business, but also the transforming. So what's your suggestion to this question?
Yeah, so first of all, of course, try to keep it as simple as possible. So it's always depends on the company size, the style, the legacy, the culture, all that kind of things. Also, that what kind of transformation you are on. So if it's like your case, that it's quite huge, it's quite difficult, it really touches on every part of the organization, it's long term, it's expensive. So you really need to engage and make sure that it's cascading throughout the organization. But if you have less people, let's say less than 100 people, for example, or super low hierarchy organizations, so you may actually be able to just have a company level OKRs, and then the team level, for example, in the projects, they can then reflect on those and think how they contribute, that make these plans, that what they actually do, or maybe have the key results that contributes there. So it's always depends on the situation, and that's why this deep dive
in the
beginning is this crucial part. So using enough time to understand that what makes sense for you, and then you can also scale or level up it later. So you can start small, and when you learn the practice a little bit, and some of the people learn it more, so then you can see it, okay, maybe we then scale it for the next function or business line or something like that.
Could the very practical tip be that in a situation where you're still thinking that where to apply, you start with this, what you did at Helen, this leadership level discussion. I remember you also shared the book OKR basic with everyone and the leadership level. So everyone
external training.
Yes. So when everyone has the basic understanding of what does this model actually can help you with the strategy implementation. Then you discuss how do we want to tailor, how do we want to adapt this.
And also one of the important thing I think Tuukka mentioned somewhere earlier, but you should really understand and be clear why you take this. So what are you after? Is it the transparency? Is it the alignment? Is it the cross-functional collaboration? What's the key that you actually want to get there? So then you can also plan how to actually deploy.
Okay.
And then there was another question earlier that how do you make sure that the key results are outcome based and not output based? Because this is also a mindset shift.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a
I mean, super
Yeah,
good one.
yeah.
That's one of the key
Yeah,
challenges, and it all comes back to the definitions
Yeah.
and discussions.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
really need to understand that what are your waypoints
yeah,
towards the ultimate objective,
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
target.
yeah,
And then discussing about those waypoints in key
Yeah.
results
yeah,
is super important, that you define those in an understandable and reachable way.
yeah,
That is in my, at least we have spent a lot of time
yeah,
in
yeah,
discussing that what we need to achieve,
yeah,
that we know that we are moving into the right direction.
Yeah, I think that there are like this recognizing that what kind of data points you actually need. That's the
Yeah.
first thing. And then you quite often recognize that you don't have that data available. So
Mhm.
one OKR may be building the capabilities
Yeah.
to be
Correct.
able to
Correct.
measure,
yeah,
and that's okay as well. And then when preparing to this like a webinar, I was contacting my fellow professional OKR coaches and asking tips. You can find some of those in the booklet you will receive later, but I think the common theme there was that you can overdo it easily in the beginning, so that you just use time to forming, but main thing is that the discussion, the alignment, the understanding. So you learn little by little. So next cycle you get a little bit better, next cycle a little bit better in formulating. So same goes with the objectives and with the like the key results, that at some point you need to say that these are good enough now.
Yes,
And we learn,
yeah.
but we all understand where we are going,
Yeah.
why we go in there, and how we can go there.
Yes, yes. Still a question about the tools and technologies. So do we recommend tracking all OKRs on one kind of like dashboard, or encourage cross-team collaboration or individual tools?
Yeah, I guess that
Yeah.
depends on
Yeah.
an organization.
Yeah.
We have made a decision that we have one tool where we have it all,
Yeah.
and everybody has kind of transparently access to everything.
Yeah.
And then that's probably part of Finnish culture as well, how to make transition and transformations happen.
Yeah.
And then that has been one of my key guiding principles, to make everything transparent to each and everyone in the organization. And that's part of the learning. We start to learn and understand that these are the goals, and this is what we need to achieve. This is where we are now. This is where we have failed. We need to learn and improve, and so on and so forth. But this is only about tool. I mean, think about the process behind the tools. And how you want to work, and what is the culture you want to build, and then think about the tools.
Exactly. So first build all these like understanding that what kind of OKR model you would like to have, how it actually integrates, what's there, and then take the best appropriate tool for that. And sometimes I know that some companies first like to start exploring the model with the Excel sheets, for example. So then it's a lot of handwork, but you can do that as well. But when you like start scaling, it's of course much more easier that you have like a specific tool that helps you to do it.
Yeah, and probably about we talked about understanding and what you really want to achieve and what is the process. And one kind of tool we've been using is this cross-functional alignment and understanding. I mean, you have been part of both the big room plannings and so on and so forth. So that have really helped us in sharing the key learnings and aligning the targets and kind of agreeing together what we want to achieve now and then after.
And I think in your case, it has been also important to find the ways to like see the dependencies between
Correct.
the different projects and the functions and the business
Yeah,
units, because there are some of the shared resources.
Mm.
And that has been also the tool, this big group planning, for example, one tool to like do it. But it's more like gathering together and again using time for like discussing and being there. But I think that preparing for whatever your like ways of doing things, preparing for the check-ins so that you have the data available for one way or another, so that you don't need to look it there.
Yeah.
But you have it, you know where to focus on the discussion in the check-ins, for example.
Yeah.
If you have this kind of a big room planning or something, prepare well so that it's like effective to have all these people together and so on. So it's a lot about
Facilitation and
Facilitation
pre-planning
and
and
exactly.
because we're spending
where
a lot
you
of
need
people.
exactly where you need all people
Yeah.
and where the smaller group can things like the preparation, so
Yeah.
afterworks or fine tunings and so on.
Yeah. But as you were discussing about this cross team collaboration and actually sharing objectives, it's a lot about cultural transformation in many companies where we have been, for example, in some companies, teams have been thought to even compete with each other or to not make autonomous decisions. And then this approach challenges all that. But hey, I hope we have been able to answer everything that you sent. We are very passionate about this particular topic. OKR approach at itself is just a model. It's just a framework. But the question is, how do you apply it? How do you actually apply it in a perfect way so that it is a tool for you to engage your employees to your strategy? So we are passionate about this particular topic, and we hope that we have now been able to give you inspiration towards this. And I would like to now thank my guests today. I think I have learned a lot from you both, and you have brought great perspective to this discussion. It's not easy. Change is never easy, and especially considering the time we're living at. But I think we need to constantly improve and evolve and create new innovative methods.
Exactly, and share these experiences, because I don't think no one is ready in a sense that this is how you do it. But again, the whole this thing demands collaboration.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you guys. So I mean, it's all about, in our case, it's about, I mean, consistent leadership, engagement and commitment.
Yeah.
And then bringing everything we have on the table, I mean, tools, processes, everything on the table, trainings, whatever. And then investing continuously into the development of this whole thingy.
And that's how you spark employee engagement. And that is what your statistics also show. But hey, thank you all very much. And let's stay in touch, and we will come back to you with our guide latest next week.
And there is also this blog post in our webpage to explaining the basics a little bit more than what we have time to do today. So you can go to check that as well.
Yeah. But thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.